The 6 to 7 Figure Show, episode 80. Ready? Let's hit it.
Broadcasting from the Valley of the Sun outside Phoenix, Arizona. This is the 6 to 7 Figure Show. Tired of working so hard and having no time? Take your six-figure practice and turn it to a thriving seven-figure enterprise. And now, your host, author, speaker, mentor, and strategist, Frank Bria.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 6 to 7 Figure Show. I'm your host, Frank Bria, and in today's episode, we are going to focus on advertising. But first, a quick message from our sponsor. This episode of the 6 to 7 Figure Show brought to you by High Ticket Program. Did you know that you were only 12 projects away from turning your six-figure practice into a thriving seven-figure enterprise? In the High Ticket Program Accelerator, we guide you through every step of growth and scale in a process we call LEAP. Imagine having a world-class project team guiding you and your team through every step of pain-free growth, all with the goal of becoming a seven-figure enterprise and moving away from painful, time-consuming business operations and client delivery. Get a taste of LEAP, your own business, by downloading our free high-ticket program core offer Black Book that contains more than 60 pages of standard operating procedures for your business, including onboarding, customer service, graduation, financial management, and a lot more. You can get that for free by going to the show page at 6to7.show. That's 6to7.show for your free Black Book. I am pleased to introduce today's guest, Lisanne Murphy. She is an academic turned Facebook ads expert. And we're going to talk about that because those of you might know I'm an ex-academic. Actually, I say academic fail out, but we'll talk about that later. Who is a Facebook ads expert who, from watching client successes and ceilings, have become known as the Who Lady. Lisanne is the creator of Midas Touch Social, a six-figure Facebook advertising agency and educational platform, which took 3 companies across the seven-figure mark this past year. Lisanne, welcome to the show.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Frank, thank you so much for having me. It really is a pleasure to be here with you and your listeners today.
Absolutely. And we got to start with the academic thing first. So, former academic, what's the story? Where's that from?
Yeah, I love it. Well, so when I worked in corporate, in leadership and development, and so I was in a training role, and part of my job allowed us to go back to school and get it paid for. So I went back to school to get my master's degree. And in the middle of my master's degree, I was like, I don't know if I want to do anything that my master's degree was shooting me towards. So I actually left halfway through it to pursue a real estate investing company. I put everything that I had from my savings and my 401k into this real estate investing company, and I lost everything. It crashed hard. It was so rough. So I begged for them to let me back into school and to finish my master's degree, and they did. And while I was there, I was like, okay, well, I don't think corporate's the place for me. And obviously entrepreneurship is not the place for me. So academia, it's got to be it. And I actually really enjoyed it. I was doing research with professors, going to conferences, networking with professors. I was applying for PhD programs, to Harvard and London School of Economics. I was going for the top of what you could for the academic world. And then I had some opportunities come to me to get into entrepreneurship again. And, when that entrepreneurship bug bites, it bites hard.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I can apply to be in academia any year of my life, but what I can't do is this opportunity that was in front of me, which was to partner with some other people with to do some advertising. And I'd had some advertising experience from that's a whole other story, but I decided to make the leap and try the entrepreneurial route, and I haven't looked back since. So nice. My GRE is still active. This is new enough for me that I still could go back and use my same GRE score, but I'm really, really enjoying what I'm doing with my clients and serving them, and love the freedom that the entrepreneurial life has given me. So, and I did end up finishing my master's degree. So I'm a graduate student, but yeah, I left academia for
That's
this
nice.
It's been great.
That's great. That's a great story. And it's true that when those of us who have sort of had that entrepreneurial bent to us, it's really hard to shut that off. It's just a very difficult thing to walk away from permanently. So, but I do find that folks with an academic background have a unique skill set. If they can tolerate the entrepreneurial environment, they really have a unique skill set they bring that a lot of entrepreneurs don't have. And that's the ability to sort of communicate, to socialize what they do. There is just some skills there that not all entrepreneurs have, unless it's sort of, kind of natively there. So that's a great background.
Yeah, well, and my master's was in organizational behavior. So applying that to Facebook ads it's really awesome. So like with my research background, analytics and statistics is like secondhand nature to me. And then people behavior is what I studied all throughout my master's degree. So I didn't realize how well suited it was to advertising until I like really made the leap. But it was almost like I went to school to do what I'm doing. You don't have to, but for me, it was perfect.
No, it's great. A lot of people describe organizational development stuff as like business psychology. It's kind of like the psychology of people in business. It's really fascinating, I find. I didn't ever take any classes in it, but I almost kind of wish I did, because it does have that applicability as you go through. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll send you my textbooks.
There we go. Yeah, as this former academic really loves textbooks. Actually, I will not. One of the reasons why you don't see a bookshelf behind me is because it's all geeky mathematics stuff from when I was a grad student, working on my PhD in mathematics. So we will not talk about that, because we will lose every listener on this show.
Another call off the air.
That's right, exactly. So the Who lady, where does that come from? What does that mean, and where'd you get that moniker?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in my advertising agency, I had like two major categories of clients. I had clients that would jump into like the six figures and things were going well, but like they would just hit a ceiling. And then I had clients that you could just scale forever. And it was just, you could put as much money behind it as they want. And as long as they could fulfill on their service or their product, then it was like good to go. So like those few clients that crossed into the 7-figure mark, like it was easy. But then I had this handful of clients that like, they would bump into like 100 to 250,000 a year, and they would just like stop, and it would just be really hard to scale. The ads, it was difficult for them to fulfill, and I was like, what is happening? Like, why can't everyone just be like these 7-figure rising stars? And as I really looked at it, I realized that the biggest thing that was missing was a very, very clear definition of who they're serving. And so their client avatar, their who, if you will, was not clear in their messaging in the funnel. It wasn't clear in the offer giving the value to the customer that they wanted. It wasn't clear in the ads that they were doing. And so they were having to spend way more money than they should have been to acquire a client, which made it very, very hard to be profitable and scale. Yeah. And so, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, it's just fascinating that these basics come up over and over and over again, right? This, because I don't think there's anyone who's listening today that wouldn't accept that having a good understanding of your avatar is like really important. But I see this as well, and when we work with a lot of folks, and what you're saying is consistent with the experience that we've had as well. That this is just a tough thing for people. That sometimes they just they just don't have this set at all. And it really has a big impact, as you're pointing out.
Absolutely. A huge impact, right? And it's something that most entrepreneurs, they think about in their first step, but it's all subjective. Yeah. And then they don't look at it again until advertising comes up. And so one of the projects that I'm working on, and we're not going to be talking a lot about this in the call on the show today, but one of the projects I'm working about is how to help people develop their avatar in a much more systematic way, where like they know that like if they've done these things, that they've got it nailed and they can move forward, and they can use that throughout the process instead of like just like this like annoying hurdle to jump over. But it's been a great experiment, because I'll come up with a theory and then I'll test it with my current clients. And those that know who they're speaking to, who their avatar is, they have a clear understanding of their dream client. Those are the people that are going to be able to scale their business. And it makes it easy because they just are delivering what the people already want.
Yeah. What do you think some of the things are that are keeping people from from nailing that down? I mean, it seems on its surface it would be such an easy question to ask, but it's one that I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't have good answers to. So as you're working with folks, and I know you have coaching around this and programs that you offer around this as well, what are some of the hurdles that are kind of holding people back from nailing this down the right way?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two major issues that come up. And it's and both come in that people are overconfident in what and who they think that they're serving. And it usually shows up in one of two ways. One is that people say, well, I'm who I want to serve. So I'm my perfect avatar. Therefore, I understand it perfectly.
Yeah.
And while everyone wants to serve people that are just like them, that's like doing statistics with a sample size of one. Right. It's like agreeing to only sell one copy of your book or your program to you. Like, there are people that are like you, but you need to know how they're like you, but also how they're different from you. And so people will say, oh, I know my avatar perfectly because I'm my avatar. And to me, that's just like, wah, wah, wah. That's a huge red flag that, no, you don't. Sorry. Like, the fact that you're just saying that shows that you don't. And then the second problem is, and it goes right along with the first, is that they oversimplify the avatar creation process, right? They say, well, and the reason why they oversimplify it is because they want to serve the world. They say,
yes, right.
My target demographic is all women entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'll narrow it down a little bit. Maybe between the ages of 25 and 40.
Right.
So it's all basic, like age, gender,
sure,
and even entrepreneur. I mean, that's like saying like self-employed, which like there's a billion ways to be self-employed, right? And so the overall, the generalization causes you to really be able to reach out to nobody.
Right.
And so what people don't consider is like not just basic demographics, but like you have to consider what is called psychographics. Like, what are the emotional drivers that drive someone to make a decision? They have to consider what's important to them in terms of status. Like, do they care about being better than other people, or do they care about association with high rollers? Like what do they really care about? Yeah. They have to understand, like, is my person problem aware? Like, do they know about the problem that you're trying to fix? And are they solution aware? Do they know that there are solutions out there, or that yours is a potential solution? All of those things give so much more dynamics and facets, if you will, to the avatar. So those are just a couple of the things that I make sure that my clients have in line before they spend thousands and thousands on advertising to realize that their avatar is broken.
Yeah. First of all, like, I'm going to give you an award for the first guest who's ever used the word psychographics on the show. We talk about demographics and psychographics all the time. So, but you're the first person who's said that's a critical element. So we're awarding a point.
Yes, to Gryffindor.
That's right, exactly. But this is such a critical piece, and I think so many entrepreneurs are scared of making a decision, of narrowing this down, because I think there's this fear that a narrowed avatar means fewer clients, and there's this confusion between market size and client potential that people get wrong all the time. And I hear this, like diet coaches, who's your ideal client? Anyone who eats. Okay. Or, relationship coaches, anyone who has a heart. I love that one. I heard that one one time, and I'm like, no. So, yeah. But there is and I will say it's happened even to me, where I get pushed to, okay, narrow. And this little bit of fear comes up, I think, for all of us, where it's like, I'm losing out, I'm missing out, but I could help this over here. But there's a mathematical formula here that people don't take into consideration. Like, you could be selling to all 7.5 billion people on the planet, but if you don't have a message that's interesting, you're going to have a 0% conversion rate. So who cares if you have a market size of 7.5 billion? And I think not enough of us take that into consideration when we're thinking about, targeting and advertising.
I love that. You should just, Frank, you should just clip that out as like a little training section right there. Cause I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. The riches are in the niches. So don't be afraid to really, really niche down. And because the world is, especially if you're a service provider, I mean, that space is becoming more and more and more crowded.
Sure.
And so if you don't have a very, very narrowed in niche, then you're just going to be fighting on the margins of the big dogs that came before you.
Yeah.
And so, and trying to figure out whose margin you're going to be fighting on.
Right.
And so, it's a critical piece that people aren't talking about enough. And it's honestly, my biggest goal for 2020 is, this, I should say, just for this next year, to just be a voice and a beacon of figuring that out. Nice. And doing it in a systematic way that really, really helps entrepreneurs in their business.
That's great. That's excellent. Do you mind if we pivot to chat about Facebook ads and paid traffic?
Yeah, let's do it.
That people are dying. This is such an area where if you are not familiar with this at all, it feels like, tackling this big monster. So let's start off with sort of the basics. When is a good time for someone to start considering paid traffic like Facebook advertising? What kind of markers in their business should they be looking for before they start going, yep, let's turn to that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I think it's really important that I think there's multiple phases that you need to go that you go through with Facebook ads, and the indicators in your business are going to be different for each phase.
Okay.
So the first is like whether I should do ads at all, and the answer to that is like you need to have some sort of offer that you are presenting in front of people, like in the most simple way. Like if you're doing, say, like Facebook lead form ads, you don't need a funnel or anything like that. You can do an ad that tells about your service, and they fill out a form directly in Facebook to hop on a call with you or to receive some sort of download or book or video or whatever. And that way you don't have to have any type of funnel, but you can still get your stuff in front of people and still get a little bit of success. Like that strategy works a lot for like real estate agents, for insurance agents, mortgage agents. I don't know if you work with any of those in your audience, but those
definitely have those folks in the audience there, because I get emails from them, so I'm familiar.
Good. But to really, really leverage Facebook ads for the power that they have, you need to have some sort of automated sales system on the back end that you walk them through to show them your product or your service. So we call that a funnel, of course, and where there's some sort of landing page or a sales page where they get an offer and an opportunity to buy something. So if that is set up and you're ready to go, then you can start ads. Now, you shouldn't go into it feeling like, okay, like I'm ready to make $1 million. I just built my funnel. You need to look at like Facebook as, I'm willing to spend money to understand where my system works and where it's broken.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point. I think a lot of people get sort of sucked into the siren song of, drop a $10 a day budget on Facebook ads, and then like in 7 days you're rolling in it. There's so many horrible stories of setting poor expectations around paid traffic generation. It drives me nuts. It's one of those pet peeves of mine.
Yeah. Well, and it's ignorance, and not like in a bad way. It's just people just don't know the world. Like I was talking to a gentleman just this morning who he has he wants to run 3,400 people to his webinar using $400 of ad spend a month. Now, I did the math on that. That is less than 12 cents a lead to get them to the webinar.
Right.
And like, I hate to break it to you, like, even though like those are the numbers that you chose, like that is just not realistic.
Right.
It's not realistic.
Right.
And he was almost upset with me. He was like, well, I guess you're not the right ads person. And I was like, I guess not.
Definitely not. Like that is like run, do not walk for the exits.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah, please don't talk to me about it anymore if you feel that way, because it's not me. It's just, that's just how it works. Like it costs to get in front of people. So the first thing you have to be able to realize is that like, I have to pay to learn. You have to approach Facebook's with a learning mindset, and you need to know what data Facebook is giving you so that you can learn what you need to know am I reaching the right people? And is my landing page performing the way that it should? Does my offer need to change? Is my power content, are people dropping off in the middle of my webinar or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
And that data is there, and it can teach you exactly what you need to do, but you need to understand it. So people want to use Facebook ads to make money, which it can, and it does. And Mark Zuckerberg wants us to make money on it, because if we spend money on his platform, he makes money. And if we make money, we'll keep spending on it,
Right.
But if you don't go into it with a learning mindset, then you'll drop out of the game before you even have a chance to win.
Yeah. That's like I said, it's a really good point. And a lot of people don't understand what that means. From both an expectations perspective as well as a readiness perspective. Because one of the things that I like to tell people is, listen, if you have to make an investment, you don't have the cash to make the investment, it might be too early for you to be making that particular investment. So if you're fighting against this concept that you're going to probably have to spend a little bit to understand how any paid traffic generation is going to work for you, whether it's Facebook or YouTube ads or Google AdWords, it doesn't matter, then it might be a little early. You need to be able to be at a place in your business where you're comfortable with that kind of an investment. And it's not like it's crazy, but I think it's more of an expectation setting. So it's good that you're talking about it in those terms.
Absolutely. Well, and here's the thing, Frank, is like Facebook is, and maybe I'm biased. I know I'm biased, but Facebook right now is the most powerful platform that people can advertise on in the world right now. Now, will it be around and will it be the same forever? Like, I don't know. But like in this moment,
right,
it is the most powerful tool. There are 500 million active users every single day.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you just wrap your mind around that, like it's unbelievable. And like Facebook gives you the power. Like Facebook is powerful because it's precise. It's like a brain surgeon. Like you go in there and you say like, this is who I want to talk to. And it says, okay, and again, going back to your client avatar, that's why your avatar has to be nailed down.
Right.
And so Facebook is just, it's such an incredible tool, but like you say, like you have to be ready for it. And there's a lot of different ways to learn that data as well. Like the fastest way is Facebook ads, but you can learn it through organic strategies. You can learn where your funnel works and where it's broken with organic strategies.
Sure.
And so the point is to like get people through the funnel. If you have an email list, use that. If you have an organic following or a Facebook group, use that. If you want to use some organic strategies, use that. If you want to use paid ads, use that. But like you have to have an offer, and then you need to learn about how that funnel interacts with the people that you're trying to reach.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great focus on on essentially the automation of your messaging, making sure that, as you're going through, there aren't any holes or gaps or, leaky funnels, as some people like to say, as you're going through that. A lot of people I know, like a lot of people who are listening, a lot of entrepreneurs, the moment you say Facebook ads, this like thing happens up with them. They like get all panicky because a lot of people have invested money in Facebook ads in the past and lost it, a lot of money. And it probably, like when you were talking about your experience with real estate investing, a lot of people were like, that was me in Facebook ads. I'm sure you have a lot of those people who come to you with stories about how they tried this and it didn't work before. What are some of the mistakes that you see people making that are causing this? I mean, but beyond the obvious, you need to spend to learn your way into it. That's usually the first thing, is that expectations are set inappropriately. But there are, there must be some things you're seeing in terms of ad copy, in terms of design, in terms of asset usage and copy that you're seeing that are probably not serving people very well on this platform.
Yeah, I love that question, Frank. And so here's the thing. Facebook is amazing because it can be so tailored and so specific that like you could like send ads to your family members only, like you could narrow it down to that degree.
Right.
The way that Facebook is able to do that is they have a lot of moving levers, and getting the right combination of those levers can be very, very frustrating. Do you use dynamic creative or not? Do you use campaign budget optimization or not? What age do you use? How many interests do you put in an ad set? Do I use lookalikes or not? I mean, like do I have a 7-day click 1-day view window, or do I go for impressions or
It has
clicks?
become quite complex since the beginning. That is true.
The options are endless.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people make a mistake. I think there's two major areas. One of the areas of where people make a mistake is this, where like they just don't know what they're doing. And so they just are like counting on whatever the default is and just hitting publish with a wish and a prayer that it's going to find the right people.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, it's like imagine like you're on the beach and you've got a life preserver and you run up to a family eating tuna sandwiches and you're like, I'm going to save your life. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, you are creepy, go away. Right? But like, if you are running down the beach and you see someone caught in a riptide and you throw them out the life preserver, they're going to be praising your name for the rest of their life.
Yeah. Right.
And so you've got to set it up to make sure you're reaching the right people.
Yeah. That's a much better metaphor than mine. I've actually described this in the past as throwing an envelope, throwing a letter into the ocean, just like throwing it out and letting it, but of course, no chance of reaching the right place. Your metaphor is much better. But yes,
no, I like yours a lot.
Very difficult.
Yeah. And then the second one, which is a lot easier to fix. The second problem is that people don't pay attention to Facebook's policies.
Yeah.
And Facebook has become so much more strict, especially just in the last 18 months because of all of the press around all the privacy stuff that's going on in terms of whether they were involved in swinging campaigns and leaking people's information and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But because of that, they're being so much more sensitive to the products, to the messaging and the products that are out in the marketplace.
Sure.
And so if you don't know the rules, you're going to break them without even knowing that you're breaking them. And Facebook has like very low tolerance. Like you'll get your ad account shut down. You'll be put in Facebook jail is like what they like to call it.
Right.
And once that happens, it is just, it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, I can't believe I have to deal with this. Like, it's just a time waster for your life because you have to appeal and it's hard to get a person. And so like, know the policies, know what Facebook accepts, know what they reject. They're very, very clearly outlined. Yeah. If you just Google Facebook policies, boom, they come up. Make sure you're not breaking any of the rules. If you don't break the rules, you can play. If you break the rules, you can't play.
Yeah. And one of the things I find is it's useful to have a professional helping you with this because the rules change all the time. It really is tough to keep up on stuff. I mean, at the time of this particular recording, I was reading an email just a few minutes ago sent out on new rules Facebook's putting out for automated messenger applications are going to roll out in January of 2020. So it's, they're changing all the time. And I'm trying to get up to speed with it and going, I'm so glad I hire somebody to take care of this for me because I don't want to know all these little ins and outs. It's tricky. It can be really tricky. And the impact is pretty significant. I mean, I tell people it's like, when your old principal used to tell you that it was going to be on your permanent record. Like Facebook keeps a track of this stuff. And if you go into Facebook jail once, you're more likely to get in there again. And it's a little bit tricky to stay on top of all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I'd love to add one more if that's okay, because this is something else that is like easy to fix. And that is like a lot of times when people start running Facebook ads, they don't think about the actual user. It's so important that you think about and use your own experience to realize this. Like, think about what is my person that's seeing this ad? What are they doing when they see it? Like, because Facebook is, the Facebook platform is used for what we call pattern interrupt advertising, right? Like it's not like someone searching on Google, like my window's broken, how do I fix it? Right. Like you are catching them as they are. I mean, let's be honest, like they might be sitting on the toilet. They might be on the phone and they're bored. They might be watching an NFL game. They might be talking to their mother-in-law and they're like, just like scrolling, like they're in the middle of something. And so you have to be thinking about that when you create this ad. If your ad is dull, boring, unattractive, then they're just going to keep scrolling past it. Yeah. And so I realized that like, because Facebook it's a powerful tool, but it's a pattern interrupt tool. And so you need to be ready to interrupt their pattern, whatever that might be in the moment. So you have to speak quickly and poignantly to them so that they're like, whoa, okay, I need to save this post to come back to it, or I need to stop what I'm doing right now and engage with this because it's good stuff.
That's a great thing to remember. I think a lot of us do forget that, it's about user experience. It's about your prospect experience and thinking about it from their perspective. And that means you usually think about it in the funnel itself, but it starts all the way back at the ad. That's a really good reminder. Really good reminder.
Whenever I work with clients, I say that the funnel is from the second they see your ad till they're in your community consuming your product. It's not just what's in ClickFunnels or in Kajabi or whatever they're using.
Right. That's a great insight. I hate to do this, but we are out of time. I would love to continue this conversation. It's been a lot of fun and really enlightening. I know this is an area where people get tripped up all the time. So you've given some really good insights. One last question before we go, and I really appreciate the time you've carved out for this already.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. It's super fun. I can't believe it's over already.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things where I'm like, I promised I wouldn't take up too much of your time when I scheduled this out. So, but the audience is they're thinking about their avatars. They're thinking about their messaging and their paid advertising strategies. If they want to get in touch with you, if they want to learn more about what you're doing, what's a great way for them to do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll make sure that you have all these links so you can post them in the notes. But you can find me on Facebook, and you can search for me there. On Instagram, my handle is Lisanne Murphy HQ. I would love to give your listeners a free, I call it the Facebook metrics made easy. So it helps you know exactly what the metrics are and how to read them so that you can know if your ads are working or not. And so I'll give that to you as well. And that's found at MidasTouchSocial.com. And then I've also got a group as well that I'll give you the link to that people can access if they want to get in there and chat with me and ask questions. But
is it a Facebook group you're running?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Those links are here below the video or on the show notes page if you're listening to the audio. If you're out and about, come on back to the show notes page and just click on through. Thank you very much. That's great. Really generous offer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
This has been a thrill. Thanks so much for taking time. I know you're super busy. Thanks for blocking out a little bit of time to share your expertise with the audience. I learned a ton. I know that people who are struggling with this whole Facebook ad thing and even all the way down to the critical, like who am I actually selling to? That's such powerful stuff. Honestly, it's like the number one thing I tell people if they can get that fixed or figured out, they're like 80% of the way there. So thanks.
Awesome.
For this. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. And thank you for being here with us on the 6 to 7 Figure Show. I've been your host, Frank Bria. And just a quick reminder about the free high ticket program, Core Offer Black Book. Contains more than 60 pages of standard operating procedures on how to run your coaching, consulting, or expert-based service business. You can download that for free at the show's homepage, 6to7.show. That is 6to7.show for your free black book. See you on the next episode of the 6 to 7 Figure Show and make it happen. Take care. Bye-bye.